Why did Andrew Jackett win the Arnold Classic? Why did Nick Walker come in second? Today we are going to see the analysis and detailed explanation, pose by pose, of this event. With Tyler Mannion? Yes, Tyler Mannion is back on the channel. You missed him, didn't you? He is the Vice President of the International Federation of Bodybuilding and Fitness and National Physique Committee, that is, of the Bodybuilding Federation. And he is also one of the main judges at bodybuilding events, at Mr. Olympia, the Arnold, and others. He and all the judges talk, Tyler makes a video and publicly explains to the audience why they chose one bodybuilder over another, what needs to be improved, and so on. Let's take a look at his analysis. He spent 15 minutes rambling. I've watched it several times in English and I'm bringing it to you translated on the channel, and of course summarized, because it's unbearable. He spends the first 5 minutes explaining that it was a super close show, with a great top 3. He starts by saying that Nick Walker had the best definition of all, that Hadi's was very good from the front, but from the side and back it wasn't as good and he was a little off. He goes on to say that Andrew's condition was good but not spectacular and that he needs a bit more leg, especially from the back he doesn't look as crispy, I love that expression, or as detailed as Nick. He says he still needs to build his legs, despite some improvement, and that his posing is better but still needs work. He also says that Nick's biggest weak point is his waist, and that on Friday, this is important, during pre-judging, Nick Walker had worse control of his abs, and sometimes his midsection would stick out a bit. On Saturday during the finals, he controlled it much better. That's why he always emphasizes analyzing between pre-judging and finals. He also mentions that Nick's abs change a lot, they evolve, that his abs have a life of their own. He says in Pittsburgh it was very controlled, while at the Olympia his waist looked wide and stuck out, but in this show it was somewhere in between. It's like, depending on the show, Nick's belly looks bigger or smaller. He also says that he thinks his upper body is more dominant from the front and that his quads have improved. After this 5-minute introduction he gives, he finally starts analyzing the poses. We start with the poses. Front double biceps goes to Andrew, just like that. He flows much better in this pose. He has big arms, pumped lats, and a controlled waist with good shape. His legs from the front have gained width. I think the pose is very strong. Honestly, Andrew looks imposing in this pose. Spectacular aesthetics, huge arms, and very aesthetic. Next to him, Nick has little to do. About Nick, it looks better on him than at the Olympia, but he needs to improve the way this pose flows, improving his midsection and making it look more balanced between his upper and lower body. His arms are impressive, among the best in the International Federation of Bodybuilding and Fitness, if not the best. But overall, when you look at the pose, if you look from head to toe, it goes to Andrew. One Neo, I agree. If you look at the legs, they're half as long as Andrew's, and the waist is twice as long and wide. Nick Walker's proportions are truly unfortunate. He's been cursed by genetics. The next pose is the front lat spread. It's Nick's weakest pose. I think he's improved the way he poses it compared to previous shows. We still need to see better form. The waist needs to come in more. The balance between upper and lower body could also be a bit better. The chest could also be thicker and fuller. Damn, he really put Nick on the spot for a moment, poor guy. But yes to everything. This is one of Andrew's strongest poses. The arms are good, the detail and thickness of the chest are good. The waist has a good shape, and moving to the lower body it could have a bit more size, but it's still a clear pose for him. Andrew looks spectacular here. There's a noticeable superiority in terms of shoulders, chest and shape. 2 Neo side chest pose. It's much closer between both of them than it was in the past. For Nick, it's always been a strong pose, although he could use a bit more chest density. On Friday during the pre-judging, he could have controlled his abdomen better. In the finals, he did better. You can still see his stomach in the pose. The side leg is insane, and the definition is crazy. Tyler really likes crazy, huh? A very strong pose for Nick, although there are a couple of things he can improve. Let's go with Andrew. The pose is much better, but he needs more size in the side leg. As for the upper body, great width from shoulder to shoulder. A lot of density in the shoulders and chest. The waist looks good in this pose. And the upper body is very strong. He can compete against anyone right now. The lower body could increase a bit more so the pose looks more balanced. Still, it's a very clear pose for Nick. Bandos 1. My opinion is that he has improved the pose. He does look super wide, but it's true that the pose looks kind of strange. I do think he could pose it better, improve his mobility, and really get more out of it. It's interesting he mentions Nick's stomach, which I don't think matters much, but says nothing about Andrew's, who also lets his stick out in this pose. Next pose, rear double biceps. Starting with Nick, this pose looks impressive. The lower body is insane. Width, depth, conditioning. The back is great. He needs a bit more density in his back and to look more 3D. Overall, it's an extremely strong pose for him. I agree. I already mentioned it in my analysis. I think it's one of the craziest rear double biceps in bodybuilding right now. Moving on to Andrew. His lower body has improved. His back, arms and shoulders are great, but his lower body still needs to get better. He needs more detail in his legs and more size. 2-2, a very close pose. Again, Andrew's legs are his weakness and he needs to improve them. Nick's legs are very good. His lats have improved and the way he poses them, but he can still add a bit more depth and density to that back. Andrew has a lot of density and width in this pose. The back is very good. Also the waistline. In the upper body they're even, but in the lower body, Nick wins. 2 to 3 poses for Nick. And in the lat spread, they're pretty even when it comes to the back. But it's true that Andrew's lower body doesn't show any hamstring definition at all. He's also lacking in the adductors. The calves are very short. In general, I think Andrew's lower body needs a significant improvement, and I also think it's because of the way he poses. I think he doesn't know how to pose his hamstrings. It's not so much a muscle issue. It's not that he doesn't have them, it's that he doesn't know how to pose them. But anyway, Andrew Jackett won the award for Best Poser. And yeah, I know it's because of the choreography, but I don't care. Andrew actually got an award for Best Poser. Let's go with side triceps. Andrew does it better. Great shoulder-to-shoulder width, dense chest, detailed, and deep abs. He shows off his leg better in this pose, and he's improved too. He's more balanced, and nothing is said about the massive triceps he has. It looks like someone else's leg. Nick's triceps pose is pretty unique. What a guy. Honestly, I laughed a lot when he said it's pretty unique. What a euphemism. In the previews, I gave the pose to Andrew because Nick's abs relaxed and didn't look good until he flexed. I think he could increase his chest density. And he doesn't have as much width as Andrew. On Saturday, Andrew was having trouble holding the pose, and Nick controlled his waist, so then I gave it to Nick. On Friday, previews would be 3 to 3, and on Saturday, previous ones would be 2 to 4. That's why I told you, he distinguishes between prejudging and the finals. Honestly, Andrew looks incredible in this pose. His triceps are massive. I think if he improves his mobility a bit more, he could get more out of that leg. He could even flex his obliques because they look soft there and suck in his midsection. But if you look at Hadi's pose, damn, it's really well done. Hadi even poses with his face. Abs and legs. An extremely strong pose for Andrew. When he flexes his abs and legs, you can see the detail. The abs, the waist, everything is symmetrical. It flows well in the pose. Nick has abs like blocks. Deep. The balance between his lower and upper body isn't there. It doesn't flow as well. His waist is very wide, especially the obliques. Very clear pose for Andrew. In the preliminaries, it would be 4-3, and in the finals, 3-4. And by the way, let's take a look at Hadi's midsection. Incredible. It's chiseled. Last pose. Muscular. Very interesting pose in this show. Nick has a very strong most muscular. Andrew's is very strong now too. Nick's chest is flatter and doesn't show as much detail as Andrew's. Andrew's waist is better. Both men need to work on their quadriceps. The 2 variations that Andrew does in this pose are very good. In one he does it normally, and in the other he flexes one leg. But Nick transitions to a pose that doesn't suit him, with his hand on his waist, and it shows his weakness. A wide waist. Honestly, I don't know why people do this. Has Tyler given this feedback in at least 10 competitions already to many bodybuilders? Because when they're asked for most muscular or favorite classic pose to the classic guys, they start doing a bunch of variations where they look terrible. I don't get it. They don't do that in the other poses. Nick Walker has ruined this pose for showing himself with a bad variation of the most muscular pose instead of the one that suits him. Incredible. And that Andrew wins the pose, 5-3 in the prejudging and 4-4 in the finals. This is where the pose analysis ends, and he says that in general terms. Nick took the conditioning factor, and Andrew took the symmetry, balance, and proportion. He didn't say anything about size. I understand that's because they were very close. In terms of size, each one had their own strengths. Anyway, Nick took the award for most muscular, so in theory Nick Walker would be the most defined, the most muscular.
Y Andrew ganó por ser bonito.
Comenta también. It was a very good showing for Nick, and if he managed to bring in his waistline, he could beat anyone in the International Federation of Bodybuilding and Fitness. Yeah, of course, for them to do it again. Not complicated, Tyler. I think poor Nick won't be able to fix that. It's been an interesting analysis. I pretty much agree with it, especially considering that Tyler Mannion watches my videos and copies my analysis. Just kidding, it's a meme we have on the channel. But seriously, Tyler often repeats what I said days earlier, especially during the competition. Lo cual me alegra porque demuestra que entiendo la forma in which they judge modern bodybuilding, and I know how to understand the criteria and apply it, even if we don't always agree 100%. In the end, bodybuilding is very subjective. I think Andrew was a fair winner, but Nick gave him a tough fight, and he came in very strong, and if he had controlled his abs better. If he hadn't done the Hermos muscular variation and made a few other small changes, maybe he would have won. But if Andrew Jackett had posed better or had slightly better conditioning, Nick wouldn't have been close. What do you think? Share in the comments. That's all for today. This is Aries Whitey Bodybuilding signing off. See you next time.